Dear viewers, you're welcome to this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bablet Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, civil society and political leaders in the Republic of Cameroon say the government scapegoats some few elements of the National Armed Forces to mask its failure, notably as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned. They were reacting to government's report on the February 2020 Ngarbu massacre in the Dongamantum Division, northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, and in that report the government recognizes the responsibility of the military in that incident that led to the death of tens of persons. And the coronavirus continues engulfing the Republic of Cameroon. The southwest region now records at least 13 confirmed COVID-19 cases. Stay with us. Contrary to its previous statements on the Ngarbu massacre in the Dongamantum Division, northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, the government acknowledges the responsibility of the military in that incident. The civil society and political leaders in the Republic of Cameroon and international non-governmental organizations had accused the military to have committed the massacre. The incident that led to the death of tens of persons, according to sources on the ground, the church and some national and international non-governmental organizations. But the government rejected the allegations and accusations against the military, and now it is backpedaled to recognize the responsibility of the military in that incident, announcing the punishment of some of the National Armed Forces elements involved in that incident. However, civil society leaders are saying that the government is doing what is qualified as scapegoating the elements of the National Armed Forces to mask its failures, innocent as it comes back to government's report on the Ngarbu incident.
The Yaoundé regime pleads guilty of the Ngarbu massacre of February 14, 2020 in the Dongamantum division of the restive northwest region, which saw about 23 persons killed, including 10 children and 3 women, amongst them a pregnant woman, with houses burnt down by some Cameroonian soldiers. Some top government officials have been qualifying as very professional, making public the reports of the Inquiry Commission in a communique Tuesday, April 21, 2020. The Minister of State, Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, Ferdinand Gongo, said the President of the Republic has ordered the institution of disciplinary proceedings against Major Nyangonoze Charles Eric, commander of the 52nd Motorized Infantry Battalion in Kambe, and all the servicemen who took part in the Ngarbu operation. The commission reports that Ngarbu had become a center where secessionist terrorists regrouped and a logistic pool for the supply of arms, ammunition and fuel for secessionist groups located in Bui and parts of Ngokitunja. To this end, a reconnaissance mission was authorized on February 12, 2020 by Major Nyangonoze Charles Eric. It was led by Sergeant Babagida, commander of the Ntumbo Joint Regiment. The detachment left the Ntumbo base on February 13th at 10 p.m. with 3 servicemen and 2 gendarmes. As they advanced, the detachment's commander decided to enlist 17 members of a local vigilante committee. At the entrance of the village of Ngarbu, the group split into 2 teams to comb Ngarbu 2 and Ngarbu 3 neighborhoods. The Commission of Inquiry found that upon entering the Ngarbu 3 neighborhood, the place of the tragedy, the team led by Sergeant Babagida, comprising Gendarme Standing Civil, Private First Class Haranga, and the 10 members of the Vigilante Committee, launched an attack based on information provided by a repentant terrorist and a farmer from the area. following an exchange of gunfire during which 5 terrorists were killed and many weapons seized. The detachment discovered that 3 women and 10 children had died because of his action. Panic-stricken, the 3 servicemen, with the help of some members of the Vigilante Committee, tried to conceal the facts by causing fires. On his return to Ntumbo, Sergeant Babagida, who led the operation, submitted a deliberately biased report to his superiors, a report on which the government initially based its statement. As part of appeasement measures, President Paul Biya had ordered the exhumation of the corpses of the victims in order to give them a decent burial at the cost of the state and to establish the necessary evidence to bring out the truth. The rightful claimants of the victims of the Valentine's Day massacre are being identified by the administration based on presidential instructions in view to enable the state to pay appropriate compensation and indemnities. Meantime, Sergeant Babagida, as well as Gendarme Sanding Civil and Private First Class Haranga Gilbert, are already at the disposal of officials at the Yaoundé Military Tribunal. Some 10 members of the Vigilante Committee who assisted the servicemen to launch the attack on Garbo 3 are actively being tracked down. Major Nyangonoze Charles Eric is faulted for knowing how sensitive the Garbo area was due to prevailing high inter-community tensions, but failed to personally supervise the operation carried out by his troops. On his part, Sergeant Babagida is said to have involved armed civilians in a military operation, failed to control his troops during the operation, ordered the burning down of houses, and deliberately produced a false report on the operation and installed Gendarme Sanding Civil and Private First Class Haranga Gilbert. The inquiry reveals took part in an operation that caused the death of several persons and the burning of houses.
After that incident in Garbu, the Dongamantum Division, Equinoxe Television went on a fact-finding mission, and this is an extract of what Bishop George Nku of the Kumbu Diocese told Equinoxe envoys in an interview on that incident. Take a listen.
I have very clearly figures that I can say these are the number of people that I have their names and their ages who have died. There I have a list of 22 people whose names are on the list and who have actually died, and about 7 or 8 of them are children. 2 are pregnant women. That's the fact, and it's irrefutable because we have their names and so on. The other details I cannot completely tell you, but I can also say from the stories that the people on the ground have reported to us that morning, about 4:30 in the morning, some houses were knocked at the door, broken into, they were looking, the military people were looking for the Amber Boys, call the name of that we know, and they got some people, and in the process of it, houses were burnt, people were killed, and there were no Amber Boys apparently. Maybe, in fact, on my list there's one name which says an Amber Boy that was killed, but definitely all the people that were killed were not Amber Boys. That's as much as we can say. But we know that when this happened, a lot of the people evacuated the village. Some of them moved into Tumbo, some of them gone down to Mbam zone, where you guys are in Gensen and Studio villages where the people are at the moment. And we are reaching them from both sides because our parishes are located within these 2 villages. And we're still coming up with details as to, people can give you clear first-hand evidence testimony.
And the investigative reports and interviews of Equinoxe Television on the Garbu incident and other atrocities being committed in Anglophone Cameroon provoked what has been qualified as an attack on the media conglomerate by Yaoundé administrative authorities. The Minister of Territorial Administration, Atanganjipo, threatens to shut down Equinoxe Television, accusing it of collaborating with enemies of the nation with a hidden plan to destabilize the country. And is indicating that Equinoxe Television was similar to Radio Mille Collines in Rwanda, and knowing the impact that Radio Mille Collines played on the Rwandan genocide, the managing director of Equinoxe Television, Severin Chunke, indicated that it was unacceptable to attribute Equinoxe Television, to attribute plans to destabilize the nation to Equinoxe Television, and to say that Equinoxe is collaborating with enemies of the nation, because Equinoxe Television and radio respects all the ethics and deontology of the profession and is responsible in all its activities. However, the Minister of Territorial Administration indicated that Equinoxe Television and some other media organs were working against the Republic of Cameroon and rejecting all the facts and figures reported by Equinoxe Television. And today, Equinoxe Television is vindicated by the findings of the inquiry commission set up by the Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Defense, Joseph Petit, summoned on the instructions of the President of the Republic, Paul Biya. And we shall be coming back to this in the second part of this newscast. In the meantime, we take the first reaction of a political leader in the country on the Garbu incident report of government. Kabanwala Edith said it is the victory of the civil society and all those who stood up to demand for justice. Take a listen.
The reports that came out yesterday, where government acknowledged responsibility for the death of the victims of Garbu, where government was able to say that the army acted completely out of order. This report is a victory for Stand Up for Cameroon. It is a victory for all of the women and the men who stood in black on the 8th of March 2020 to demand justice for Garbu. It is a victory for all of the human rights defenders and all of the political parties. We were thousands, we were many Cameroonians who said no, we cannot let this one go. And it is because we stood firm and demanded justice for Garbu that we have this result today. So I would like to congratulate all Cameroonians. To stand up in this country is not easy, but we were many, we were thousands standing up and saying we must have justice for Garbu. Today, we have a small part. We can cry victory, we can stand up and be proud that we stood, we demanded, we marched, we cried, we shouted to get justice for Garbu.
Kabanwala Edith, national president of the Cameroon People's Party, also told Equinoxe Television that the victory is just a meager percentage of what is expected, is far below expectation, because the findings of the inquiry commission set up to investigate the Garbu incident has lots of shortcomings. Take a listen to her.
The government has decided to scapegoat a few soldiers and say it was their fault. But we know that soldiers do not go to act on their own. Soldiers do not give themselves orders. Orders come from above. And we know that Garbu is just the case that has come out in the open. We know from reports from the population that summary executions, burning of villages, has been a part of this Anglophone crisis for years today. So that is why this is a small victory, because those who are politically responsible in Yaoundé, the Biya regime, the head of state, who is also the head of the army, President Paul Biya, has not taken responsibility at his level. The political leaders have not taken responsibility at their level. Ministers who came out to insult us as political parties, to insult human rights defenders at the national level, at the international level, who behaved so poorly, so very poorly, and dragged the good reputation the reputation of Cameroon in the mud once again, as this regime has always done. They have not been punished. They are still in their position. Worst of all, we discovered through this report that our government has been giving arms to one part of the community to fight against another part of the community, thereby sowing the seeds of hate. A government cannot, should never give civilians arms to go and shoot other civilians. This is totally unacceptable.
Kabang Wala Edit, national president of the Cameroon People's Party, speaking there, and the Anglophone crisis has been pulling on for close to 4 years today. Thousands have been killed, hundreds of thousands displaced, hundreds of villages burnt down, and the atrocities are still being committed in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. The gun battles and the destructions are still going on, even as a government engages a plan to reconstruct the burnt down villages in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. According to the Archbishop Emeritus of the Bamenda Diocese of the Roman Catholic Church, he agrees, Cornelius Fontaine Iswa, government must stop thinking within the box. Government must come out of its over-centralized system and solve this problem with a solution that is divisible, because the two parts of the country remain divisible in terms of culture, in terms of education, and their legal heritage. Take a listen to His Lordship or His Grace Cornelius Fontaine Iswa.
We are thinking within a box, and that box is the centralized system. I think the Anglophone problem will be solved when we get out of the centralized system and look at other alternatives as far as the organization of the country and the government is concerned. I believe that federalism is, I would say, the least we can receive in order to solve the Anglophone problem. I do not agree with those who want the separatists, those of the separatists. In our memorandum, we have tried to analyze that. We have tried to analyze the various options and the various opinions, you know. And if you're asking my personal opinion to keep Cameroon one must be divisible. Because it's a cliche that Cameroon is one and indivisible, because it's not true. Culturally, we are divisible. Language-wise, we are divisible. The law-wise, we have inherited that. So anybody who says Cameroon is one and indivisible is a fallacy. And so we would have to handle that issue very squarely and objectively. And that's what I call the truth. The truth must prevail. There is no doubt that there are people of both sides, you know, that cherish their heritage. And the only way of keeping Cameroon together is to respect the respective heritages that we do have.
And many soldiers have fallen at the battlefront in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. Over 40 of them hospitalized at the Douala military hospital were visited yesterday by the commander of the 2nd Joint Military Region, who brought some aid and words of comfort from the minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Betty Asomo. And in the report coming up next, Immaculate Fogwe files in details on the situation of the soldiers and also the fight against COVID-19 within the headquarters of the 2nd Joint Military Region here in Douala.
Were once active security officers in the battlefield, but now their conditions makes them helpless due to injuries they sustained while they were on the field combating separatist fighters in the northwest and southwest regions. Some of them are victims of the 8th of March explosion at the Commercial Avenue Grandstand in Bamenda, northwest region of Cameroon. The 40 injured victims have been hospitalized at the Douala 2nd Region Hospital for over a month. Representing the Minister of Defense is the commander of the 2nd Military Region, who appreciates the efforts put in by the security officers.
Visit the minister often pays to those who've been injured during the operations. For this year, I am the representative of the minister to come and encourage those who've been injured, to let them know that as they decided to offer their life to protect the territory, and for the medics who also decided, who are endeavoring every day to save the lives, that the High Command is in line with us, with them. So I came to bring this encouragement of the High Command.
The sum of 1 million CFA francs was handed to the injured victims for their upkeep. The team of security officers that accompanied the commander of the 2nd Military Region equally embarked on an anti-COVID-19 sensitization campaign in the hospital. They equally stressed on the need of respecting hygiene measures and equally implementing government measures so as to bar the way for the coronavirus pandemic.
And government's anti-COVID-19 measures and the sanitation rules of the World Health Organization are strictly respected at the headquarters of the 2nd Military Joint Region here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. And the COVID-19 continues engulfing the Republic of Cameroon. As of now, 9 of the 10 regions of the country have recorded confirmed COVID-19 cases. The last was the Northwest region that recorded 1 case. And in the far north region of the country, no case of COVID-19 has yet been recorded. In the southwest region, over 13 or at least 13 COVID-19 cases have been recorded. The regional delegate of public health for the southwest region gave updates on the COVID-19 situation of the region during a meeting with the governor and other top authorities of the region yesterday. Derek Jato reports.
Southwest region now has 18 cases of coronavirus.
7 have been reported in Boya, 5 in Limbe, 1 in Kumba, that's 6, and then 7 in Boya.
Dr. Ebongo Zacchaeus Nanje, Southwest Regional Delegate of Public Health, briefed Governor Bernardo Kaliabilai during a coordination meeting Tuesday at the Southwest Governor's office.
We are improving on contact tracing to these 13 positive cases, and also trying to improve on the case management.
These members of the Regional Committee for the Fight Against Coronavirus took a lot of courage to digest this situational report, for no one expected this. We must intensify preventive measures and encourage contributions in that direction. Southwest Governor Bernardo Kaliabilai, chairperson of the Regional Committee for the Fight Against Coronavirus, told these members of his committee, to doctors in the Southwest region, time to exchange notes, share ideas, and welcome any clue that can lead to the way out for us to escape from the hands of this killer virus. The coronavirus is now. On the part of the government, the Cameroon Prime Minister and Head of Government has already put pen on paper, authorizing a treatment center in the Southwest region.
I think it is worthwhile praising the decision of the Prime Minister to send us a full-fledged treatment center in Limbe, which means that in the days ahead there will be some tents and some cubicles, medicalized cubicles that will be mounted at the Middle Farm Stadium. We are very grateful with the largesse, the gesture by the President of the Republic, who has sent a consignment of rapid diagnostic kits to our region that will be getting to us by next week. We are hopeful we'll be able to speed up and to broaden our testing base within the region.
Boya has the highest number of coronavirus cases. Mayor Mafani David Namange, Mayor of the Boya Council, is doubling effort. 7 out of the 13 cases are in his municipality.
As we talk, we have produced close to 10,000 locally made masks. We have shared Boya into the three court areas. That's the Boya court area, the Munya court area, and the Bojongo court area. Between now and Friday, we have all of that distributed. But we have not done at that. We have equally had contacts with others. We have an early who is based in the US of A. We have worked together. We have opened a mask production center at OIC, which production is ongoing. That's not all. We have had partners. As we talk, I've been in contact with the Otofis Foundation. You know, alone we can't succeed, so we need partners.
COVID-19 is a reality. We should keep barrier measures.
Wash your hands regularly. Maintain social distancing. Go out only when it is necessary. Put on face mask. And in case of any symptom, call 1510 if you want to stay alive. Authorities say.
The University of Douala is upgrading or enhancing its e-learning strategy to keep its students busy during this period as schools have been shut down due to the COVID-19 pandemic in the Republic of Cameroon. However, the e-learning process is hampered by challenges including poor internet connection and financial challenges faced by students. Details with Innocent.
At the time when the COVID-19 pandemic has led to suspension of classes across Cameroon, students like those of the University of Douala have engaged in distance learning as way to pursue and reap their educational goals. A strategy adopted by the Douala University authorities.
E-learning strategy based on content management system and web conferencing system because university want to go far using communications tools to facilitate the link between students and teachers.
Though praising the program, having full lectures by the students at home is cumbersome.
We have some difficulties because we don't have a very an important connection. So to have some financial money to have our connection it is not easy. But all the things, all the learning, all the studies, it is okay at home.
Role played by eBook Africa in this online learning in the University of Douala is acknowledged as it permits students to access manuals used by their online teachers for easy comprehension.
The particularity of the lecturers of the University of Douala was that they were able to achieve the goal of creating some coherent documents, all the same for the different departments, in order to allow the easiness of the students to be able to receive the learning. Inside every single document, they are all presenting the same canvas. In within you can find the general objectives, the specific objectives. When you open the site, the same coherence is in within the same site, and every single department has been able to follow up on this logic, which is difficult, and they were able to succeed in it in a very, very, very short period of time.
A program lauded by other school officials.
We are very happy to be here for now because instead began this work a long time ago before they asked us to do something. So I'm very happy because what I did every time is being done everywhere and every time.
Distance learning, which continues with students coping with the financial and connection challenges while awaiting to return to school on the 1st of June 2020, a date set up by government for resumption of schools all over Cameroon, provided the situation of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country gets better.
And the COVID-19 pandemic takes center stage in this year's National Day celebration. It is an integral part of the theme of this edition of the May 20 National Day celebration, united against the COVID-19 pandemic to resolutely steer Cameroon on the path of resilience, peace, stability, and economic development. That is the theme of this year's edition of the National May 20 National Day celebration. Coming up next, Talking Point. Thanks for staying with us in Talking Points. Dr. Ita Ewane, coordinator of the Cameroon Patriotic Diaspora, is joining us live from Germany. Dr. Ita Ewane, you're welcome. You listen to the members of the civil society or political leaders who are saying that the president of the Republic of Cameroon, in the findings of the commission on the inquiry of the incident in Ngarbu, simply scapegoat some elements of the National Armed Forces to mask its failure. What do you think about that report on the Ngarbu incident?
First of all, Mr. Babi, I would like to congratulate the government for setting up the Commission of Inquiry and publishing the report in record time. You know, this regime has gotten us so used to the idea of creating commissions of inquiry and never publishing the results. So the fact that they've published the results this time, I think we need to commend them for that. Also, I would want to congratulate the President of the National Human Rights Commission, Mr. Chemuta Divine Banda, and his team for doing a tremendous job. And also, I think the fact that the government has identified culprits and issued out sanctions or made decisions to carry on to issue sanctions against this culprit, it's also worth commending. But I'm afraid that this idea of single out a few military officers to sanction them might be a way of trying to mask government failure. I think this investigation, while we welcome it, we at the Cameroon Patriotic Diaspora think that there is still much to do. This is because members of the Cameroon Armed Forces have committed acts of impunity in different places, including my own native Bangam, where 8 young people, supposedly Amba fighters, were arrested in a village called Nkak and handed over to the traditional chief, who in turn handed these children to the military. Unfortunately, instead of carrying out the process of judicialization, the military decided to summarily execute these young people. This was in February 2020. In January 2020 and February 2020, we had reports of attacks launched against the village of Fang. Fang is a small village in Menchum division of the Northwest Province. We know of the case of Babanki. There are also reports of atrocities committed by the military in places like Ekona and other places in the Northwest and Southwest regions. So, since the government has shown some good faith to try to investigate atrocities committed by members of the armed forces, we are calling on the government now to do more. You know, to go into all these different allegations in different places and investigate and identify all those who have committed acts of impunity and punish them accordingly. And we think also that some heads have to fall as a consequence of the results of the report, the findings of the Ngarbu Commission. This is because you remember very well that the Minister of Territorial Administration, like you rightly said, had singled out Équinoxe Tv and other private media, accusing them of working with enemies of the nation. And this report actually exonerates Équinoxe TV and international NGOs like Human Rights Watch, who were accused of trying to destabilize Cameroon. So what I find intriguing in this report is the fact that the government acknowledges that members of the armed forces were responsible of the atrocities that were reported by Human Rights Watch and Équinoxe TV. But what the government fails to do...
Dr. Ita Ewane, what do you think about this kind of backward movement of the government? Earlier, the government said, no, this is the responsibility of separatist fighters. And now it comes back to say, okay, the military committed this act, this is what happened, this is what happened. And so what do you think about this forward and backward movement of government as far as this incident is concerned and others?
Yeah, Mr. Babila, unfortunately, I have to tell you that this is evidence of the collapse of authority in Yaoundé. Okay, we're not hearing that for the first time. You remember the incident in the Far North province when a minister of state came on national TV and said, well, it was the incident did not take when children and their mothers were shot by members of the armed forces. A minister of communication came out and said this was happening in another African country. And some weeks later, we saw this reversal again, and they accepted and acknowledged, that it was actually the Cameroon, members of the Cameroon armed forces that had committed these atrocities. So we are used to a government that has lost all its credibility. And so this is an opportunity for them to go into each and every case of misbehavior by members of the armed forces to try to re-establish the credibility of the government. No, it's incredible that no one seems to believe the government again. The government says the armed forces committed the atrocities in Gabo that led to the deaths of many people and the burn down of many houses. So, but we are asking for more precision. Human Rights Watch, Équinoxe TV gave numbers. We want the government to issue numbers. Tell us how many people died and provide the names of the victims. And this is a way of sowing the seed for reconciliation in the country. So we would very much appreciate if the government can provide precise figures on the number of people that died in Gabo and the number of houses that were burnt down.
The official figures have shifted from 5 to about 15 now, but sources on the ground, the church, the Bishop of Kumbu, the Diocese of the Roman Catholic Church, Human Rights Watch, the Network of Human Rights Defenders in Central Africa, the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa of Barrister Agbobala indicated that more than 20 and over 30 persons were killed in that incident.
Yeah, knowing, like I said, the government has lost its credibility, and I truly believe in the figures that were provided by the clergy in Gabo and other international organizations. So it is left for the government to prove the contrary. They provided numbers and evidence was put for public consumption. So the government has to prove the contrary. And I'm again saying, I think some heads need to fall. Now, the fact that
what do you mean, Dr. Eta? It's
an indication that the Minister of Defense has lost control of his oversight function over the military, and I think it's just but normal for him to draw consequences of his failure. And also the Minister of Territorial Administration, who came out accusing people who were doing an objective job in Cameroon, accusing them of trying to destabilize a nation. I think he has to take responsibility and step aside, because we need more honest and humble Cameroonians to serve the nation.
And the Minister of Territorial Administration, Tanganji Paul, openly accused Equinoxe Television and some other media organs of working to destabilize the country with regards to the investigative reports, the investigative interviews that Equinoxe Television and radio, and the facts that Equinoxe Television and radio were presenting to the public, and even saying that Equinoxe Television and the other media organs were like Radio Milcolin in Uganda, and knowing the role that this radio played in the Rwandan genocide. These allegations were brought up by the Minister of Territorial Administration. When you look at what has happened today and the report that has been published today and what the minister said yesterday, what do you think?
Yeah, Mr. Babila, Equinoxe TV has truly been vindicated by the report of the Commission of Inquiry. And I think the minister owes Équinoxe TV an apology. Okay, we all know, and we've all been watching Equinoxe TV from the beginning of this crisis. Journalists of Equinoxe TV have all been on the ground, and they've always provided balanced reporting. So this is unquestionable. The integrity of Equinoxe TV is unquestionable, and I think the minister owes you and your team an apology for accusing you falsely just because you were trying to do your job in an honest and objective manner.
All right, Dr. Itai, with regards to the report that has been published, there are some questions that are coming up, notably concerning the instructions that were given to the soldiers who went to Ngarbu, and those who sent the soldiers to Ngarbu, and so on. And what should be done about these questions?
Yeah, actually, a soldier or a battalion doesn't go on a field operation or military operation without clear instructions. So we have to look through the chain of command. Who gave the instructions to the army, to the soldiers? Who sent them to Ngarbu? What was their exact assignment? What instructions did they receive from the military hierarchy? So an internal investigation is necessary to establish responsibilities within the military. Now, trying to single out Commander Jean Gononze, Charles Eric, and other soldiers, to me, it's a way of trying to mask the government failure. And also, we've seen, and I remember I watched a program called Send the Press on CRTV, in which frigate captain Atonfak Vemo came out and rejected all the reports that were published by Human Rights Watch and Equinoxe TV. I think this is another person who should be indicted for crimes committed during this Ngarbu, because some analysts are beginning to refer to him as the modern time Joseph Goebbels. And you can watch some of the videos on YouTube and listen to what he was saying and what his government is publishing today. So these are people who intentionally were trying to obstruct justice, and they need to be charged for that.
All right. Now the findings are public. It is now known who did what in Ngarbu, and somebody like the Archbishop Emeritus of Bamenda, Cornelius Fontem Eswa, thinks that government should come out of the box and solve this problem, should come out of its centralized system and solve this problem with a solution that has to be divisible, because the two parts of the country have been and are still divisible in terms of their cultural, their legal, and their educational heritage. What do you think about this?
I think there is just one problem in Cameroon today that has cost us so many lives. It is the form of the state. And the government should be ready to have discussions with all Cameroonians on the form of the state. The centralized state system in Cameroon has failed beyond reasonable doubt, and it has been rejected by all Cameroonians. So for us to try to rebuild a new Cameroon, we have to put the form of state in discussion. This is the only problem that we have today. It is all about the form of the state, and all options need to be discussed. Cameroonians need to come to a round table, and discuss the form of the state and make a decision that is mutually satisfactory to all participants. Okay, we cannot continue. The government in Yaoundé, like I say, it's there to serve the people. And a few individuals cannot sit in Yaoundé and think they can impose their will on the populations of Cameroon.
All right,
so it is the responsibility of the government to call for a negotiation or a dialogue in which the form of the state will be the...
Dr. Ita Ewane, coordinator of the Cameroon Patriotic Diaspora, thank you for joining us in this edition of the news on Equinoxe Television.
Thank you, Mr. Babila, for the invitation.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Goodbye.